everybody doing this morning? Good. This past week I've been thinking about, just the word perseverance. How this is something that is really a gift, if you think about it. So, start James chapter 1, verse 12. And I kind of went over this with the youth on Wednesday night. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. So, I'd mentioned the other night that in other translations it says, that endureth trials, instead of temptation, which, what does it mean to persevere? Why is it such a hard thing to do? Why is this such a highly valued attribute to be able to persevere, to be able to strive? That you would think, you would think that with like persevering and sticking something out, staying with a task or whatever, it's kind of similar, but it's not really, because there's a big difference between just sticking through something and then persevering through something. The Greek term for persevering is hypomone. It means steadfastness, constancy, endurance, cheerful or hopeful endurance, enduring patience, patient continuancy, or continuance. So, there was a thing in there I did not really know of, in that definition, cheerful endurance. That's something that we kind of overlook. We think, well, persevering, as long as we can get through it with still breathing, we should be okay. We might complain a little bit, but wait a minute, we're not supposed to complain. This is a cheerful endurance or hopeful endurance. We're called to have joy in this. Romans chapter 5, verse 3, and not only so, but we glory in tribulations, also knowing that tribulation worketh patience. So there's a goal in tribulation. There's a goal in the trials that we go through. There's a reason for it. It's not just some random thing, that we must go through it. There is an actual goal here. In Romans 8:25, but if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. And then James 1:4, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. So that's a pretty lofty goal for that. It says we're supposed to be perfect. That perseverance and patience it's supposed to have a perfect work. We're supposed to be perfect, entire, wanting nothing. Okay, so when we go into things and we know that we're going to have to persevere through these things, do we see that? Do we actually see that as a goal that we are supposed to reach? That this is supposed to make us perfect. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 6. And to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness. As all these verses use the same Greek term, in place of patience, and it shows here that there's a step by step here. Knowledge, temperance, and then temperance, patience, and then patience, godliness. So this is showing that this is the work. This is what patience and perfect patience leads to. So it's not always a comfortable thing to go through trials. It's not always something that we, in our carnal flesh, that we want to be joyful. We don't want to. We don't even try to see joy in it a lot of times. We know it's a difficult task, and we just muster up some strength to get through it. And that's kind of how we react in a lot of ways to these things that come up against us and look impossible. So that kind of shows that we have sometimes an empty faith, in that attribute that God is placed within us, that promise that He's going to help us through these things and show us what we need to do. So we could leave everything up to chance. We could go with the flow, and that's kind of what we're told to do today. Just go with the flow. Just be easy. Don't. If it's too hard, don't even worry about it. We're told to take the easy way out. A lot of times, and we have a passion sometimes to work through things that we would like to do. If our will, if we will it to happen, if we want something to happen, or if we have a goal that's set for ourselves, we will have a passion to get that done and to strive through any kind of troubles or tribulations that come up. But if our will gets in the way of what God calls us to do, we often lose that passion and perseverance, pretty quickly. With the things that He calls us to do, if it kind of gets a little tough, if we hit a bump in the road, then we hit another bump, and we start to say, really, my heart's not in this, and it's kind of what we think, if this should be a lot easier. Why are we having so much problems? Why woe is me, basically, that's kind of what we think, no one else has this issue, why am I always the one that has these speed bumps? But we're creatures of comfort, by our carnal nature. We would love to just sit down in the easy chair, put our feet up, turn on some meaningless entertainment, just put our brain on standby and just, rest and relax. But, there's a lot of work to do. We work, throughout the week, and a lot of times we use every last bit of strength to get this work done, and we should be entitled to some rest. We should be entitled to just kick up our feet and rest. Physical labor it demands a lot. Working a 12 or 14-hour day. You think, well, I deserve some rest. But there's nothing wrong with a little rest and relaxation. What I'm talking about is whenever you feel God moving and trying to move you to do His will, and you just say to yourself, no, I worked all week. You use this as an excuse. I've worked all week. All I need right now is a Lazy Boy, Cheetos, and a nice Gilligan's Island marathon. That was for you. That is when we miss our opportunity to grow spiritually and be used by God to do His work. Surely sometimes, if we let that pass by, He will raise up another to do His great work. But what have we gained from that? And sometimes that opportunity is missed altogether. But what we have today in our society is a passion problem. We in a world that cares about me, that's the three important things. We seldom have passion for anything that does not directly and promptly benefit us. You use the example sometimes about a vending machine. We put something in, we expect to get something out. And if it takes a little bit, we start kicking the vending machine. We want something right now. The idea of getting a quick return on your investment is almost a requirement, for us to do anything. Sometimes we've become so me-centered, and you can see it in the news. There's a lot of there's a lot more, or it seems to me, from what I remember, there seems to be a lot more just crime that is just brutal crime. It's just meaningless crime. It's not just about stealing this or stealing that. It's just creating a terror situation, and just terrorizing somebody just to be doing it because they disagree or whatever. And there's a lot more of this, and you see all this on the news, and it's like, why did this happen? Because there doesn't seem to be any kind of real motivation for it. no theft or anything. It's just violence. So, I ask, speaking on this, where is the love? Where is that love that we're commanded to have? In Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, you shall not take vengeance, nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Where is that love? What has happened to it? Well, in possibly this verse can shed some light on it. Matthew chapter 24, verse 8 starts, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated for all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity, lawlessness shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. We can see that clearly today. We can see that love of many waxing cold. We can see that. You turn on the news, you can see that. There's not a lot. There's not a lot that you can see more clearly than that. You can talk to unbelievers, and they'll say, the world is going crazy. There's no sense in all this violence, but the world is going crazy. Everybody seems like they've lost their anchor. They're just blowing whichever the way the wind blows, whichever way their emotion takes them. It seems that our passions have become misplaced. We let our emotions rule us. We let our passions rule us. If we get hit in the shoulder, we strike back in the eye. And that's just the way. That's the way the world is going. But we were warned about this. This is what Christ said that would happen in the latter days. The love of many will wax cold. And going back to the perseverance part of this, I listened to a guy that did a study on Acts 14, and everything that he brought out in it was extremely eye-opening. And I'd never looked at it as closely as he kind of portrayed it. Starting with verse 1, and it came to pass in Iconium that they went both together into the synagogue of the Jews, and so spake, that a great multitude both of the Jews and also the Greeks believed. But the unbelieving Jews stirred up the Gentiles, and made their minds evil, affected against the brethren. Long time, therefore, abode they, speaking boldly in the Lord, which they gave testimony unto the word of his grace, and granted signs and wonders to be done by their hands. But the multitude of the city was divided, and part held with the Jews, and part with the apostles. And when there was an assault made both of the Gentiles and also of the Jews with their rulers, to use them despitefully and to stone them, they were aware of it, and fled unto Lystra and Derbe, cities of Lycaonia, and unto the region that lieth around about, and there they preached the gospel. And there sat a certain man at Lystra, impotent in his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked. The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him, and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, Stand upright on thy feet. And he leaped and walked. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in the speech of Lycaonia, the gods are come down to us in the likeness of men. And so, they thought that this was Jupiter and Mercurius, or Mercury. They thought that these were gods, these were Greek gods that had come down And it kind of gets crazy here, but they started trying to sacrifice to him and everything. And after they explain, we're men like you, we're men of like passions, this is wrong, don't do this, they left and they went to let's see. Picking up in verse 18, and with these sayings scarce restrained they the people, they had not done sacrifice unto them. And there came thither certain Jews from Antioch and Iconium, who persuaded the people, and having stoned Paul, drew him out of the city, supposing he had been dead. Howbeit, as the disciples stood around about him, he rose up and came into the city. And the next day he departed with Barnabas to Derbe. And when they had preached the gospel to that city, they had taught many. They returned again to Lystra and to Iconium and Antioch, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of God. And see, I thought this was funny because this guy had a map of Turkey, basically where they're at right now, and he had a little arrow mapping out where they went. And he said, well, they started going back towards Syria, from Iconium, and they went to Lystra, and Paul was stoned, drug outside the city, so they went to Derbe, and then they went back to Lystra, and he's like, who would do that? Why would you go back to somewhere you were almost killed? And it's like, well, that just shows, that speaks of that perseverance. That there may be a trial there may be something that comes up against me, but this is what I'm commanded to do. These are my people that I'm commanded to share the gospel with. I've got to do this. This is something that is required of me. So there was a work there. He saw the Lord's hand working. He had to do that, and it's a pretty hard thing to turn back and go into back to the people who want to kill you, just to make sure that you've got everything covered. You didn't finish your work there. You got to go back. You got to finish. So he went back and did that, and I thought that's amazing. If you're stoned and you drug out of the city because they think you're dead, and you're so badly off, and you go back in, and it takes a certain drive, and you have to have that perseverance to finish that work that you're commissioned with. And trials, they're a common thing. Everybody has to face them. We don't face that every day, but we face things that seem impossible, and things that we don't know how we're going to deal with. We face these things every day. We would always rather take the easy way. If you think of the example of getting from here to there, you type it in on Google or a search thing, it'll get you there, and it'll show the shortest, easiest route. And if there's anything in the middle there that may delay you, it'll even route you around that. We're creatures of comfort. We want to get there from A to B, as fast as we can. But being so focused on ourselves, and what we need to do, that we miss opportunities to share the gospel or grow ourselves. He could have went back straight from Derbe. He could have continued on that path and went back to Syria, back to Antioch. I mean, he could have done that. I mean, he was in that direction, So, I mean, he realized that he had work to finish. We hear phrases, and sayings such as, this method is time tested, or experience has taught me this. There's a lot of truth in sayings like these. Somebody had to sit there and try all these different things, to find that method that works the best. That they had to persevere. They had to work hard to try these, to find these things out. To perfect these methods. And perseverance, does have negative connotations, with the trials and the tribulations that are a part of it, but it has connotations with a painful process, and yeah, that's part of it. Perseverance is sometimes a painful thing to endure. But Zechariah chapter 13 verse 9 says, "And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God." So I would say to this fiery trial, as followers of the one true God, with cheerful endurance and perfecting perseverance, we are called to this.